Well, recently it was NAIDOC week and the Department of Consumer Protection also went along. Melissa Gurney has more.
In association with the many significant cultural events scheduled throughout the year, NAIDOC Week plays a fundamental role in demonstrating important values, traditions and especially recognises independent achievements by many of Australia's Indigenous peoples. This week promotes and encourages cultural pride and self-value, as well as unified communities. One very important element coinciding with NAIDOC Week is the focus on an Australian-wide campaign, the National Indigenous Consumer Protection Project. This directive combats unfair trading and high-pressure sales practices imposed upon Indigenous Australians. It is designed also to help make informed decisions when looking at consumer contracts. Why is there a strong need for this campaign?
Well, because Indigenous consumers are very vulnerable and they do seem to get ripped off a lot. We feel that we need to actually make a campaign for them to be aware of, that they have support if they're out and about, and that they know where to come to get information regarding getting their car repaired, or if they've got an issue when they're actually purchasing a car, and how we can help them and check things off their list so that they can actually not get ripped off.
Consumer Protection Today launched a radio program aimed at empowering Indigenous consumers and informing them of their rights when buying and maintaining a car.
The My Dardy Car series, well, that's done by Consumer Protection's Carol Dowling, who also happens to be our chair, but she's been a broadcaster for a long time, and it makes sense that she could do a series about that. She's very skilled at documentary making, and we needed something. Noongar Radio is always looking for product and some interesting information, and it just so happens that came along, and it's really good for us because we can then play it and help to educate our Aboriginal people about what to look for when they're buying a car. There's a few people that are vulnerable when it comes to that. A few people make the wrong decisions, so we like the idea of working with Consumer Protection to bring that to people.
Well, Dardy, when someone says, look, that's a Dardy car, they're actually referring to a car that is really, people admire it, they want to have it. Anything that actually symbolises, like accomplishment or whatever. So when they say My Dardy Car, that's what it means. But the campaign is literally about trying to give our people the knowledge so that they can get their Dardy car and not get ripped off. So they're basically buying cars, well, not ripped off, sorry, scratch that. They're not taken advantage of, so that they can do a deal with the car dealer, or even to make sure they get all the warranties or things like that with the car.
What are some of the negative experiences you've personally had to deal with?
Yeah, I used to work up in Broome and had quite a few Indigenous consumers come in, tell me their problems. Quite vulnerable. Traders did seem took advantage of the trust of Indigenous people. When it came to cars, probably didn't sell the best kind of cars and would refuse to fix up problems with them.
Mainly I find that a lot of people in my family have actually had situations with dangerous cars. They've actually bought cars that are not worth the value that they paid for it, and they're not fit for purpose. And they've often just let the car go. They've not actually gone back to make sure that they got the value for money. So things like that.
Have there been any positive outcomes from these cases?
Just generally, a lot of people have actually passed the word. Not necessarily. Sometimes a lot of people come to me after the event, after they've signed a contract with the dealer, and it's far too late then because there's no cooling off period in WA. So what we find is people have passed the word on, and they know a bit more about what they can do when they're dealing with a car dealer or even with a repairer.
Major issues reportedly affecting Indigenous consumers in regional and remote communities are that they are more vulnerable to unscrupulous traders because of their isolation, lack of choice and competition, low financial literacy and restricted access to services. What is the key message or advice you would provide any consumers out there who feel they have been taken advantage of?
I would say to them to definitely either ring up the Consumer Protection hotline, or otherwise even just check on the website, Department of Commerce / Consumer Protection. There's a lot of information on there. We do have an Indigenous team in Consumer Protection, so if they want to speak to someone within that team, they can contact them through that line as well.
Well, the whole idea of consumer protection is designed to help people who aren't in the know or aren't confident or aren't certain about what they want. So the idea is, before you buy anything, know exactly what you want.
Consumer Protection is a division of the Department of Commerce. They are the governing body who will assess legitimate complaints and are ready and willing to assist with resolving any disputes and take legal action if required. Consumer Protection encourages Indigenous consumers who are unable to resolve any problems with a trader to lodge a complaint with them. I'm Melissa Gurney for Undercurrent.